This is the CoffeeJack, and I made another video today of a shot because I got the stand that you can buy for it, as well as the tamper. So the stand itself is pretty sturdy, and I actually really like the aesthetic look, but what's more important to me is just how to pull a shot with it. Because typically I was pulling over a cup, but the difficulty of pulling over a cup is it's hard to see how much coffee is coming out. It's also hard to pour over a scale to get the right output ratio. So we'll try it with the stand. So in this case, I'm using a coffee that's half Ethiopian and half Colombian geisha, and the blend was made before I roasted. Then I roasted to about a minute and 15 seconds past the first crack on a hot top. I ground it pretty fine, and I do a staccato tamp, which means I dose half of the grounds first, distribute and tamp, and then I dose the second half. And for the bottom layer, I also put like a little divot in the middle. This divot helps mitigate side channeling, as it causes a higher density on the sides versus the middle. So usually my baskets are overpacked. So this is about 15 grams in, because I found that having less headspace is better for most of the machines I've used. And I use my makeshift WDT tool just to move stuff around, but my house and my climate is pretty dry, so my coffee doesn't clump like I've seen others online. I do a very light tamp. I'm just trying to get the surface a little compact and level. I usually tamp with a scale and only go to like 300 grams of pressure. So I screwed in, and then I'm going to use a decent espresso machine to produce hot water, but obviously you can produce any water. It's just the easiest water available at boiling temperature for me. So what's nice about this setup is that the stand, I can put the crew cup or any other espresso cup underneath with the Pixis scale. So I try to use the hottest water that I can, because the water loses a lot of temperature once it gets in there. So this water is coming out at over 100 C, or the setting is for over 100 C. So when it comes out, you'll see that it's starting to evaporate immediately and heat up really quick, which is fine. The screen inside of the water chamber is a little offset. That's been a little loose for me, so I just push it back down. It hasn't caused a problem. So actually I added a little more water here, and then off camera I pushed it back down, which is like a little stick. Sometimes the water takes a minute. I wish I had a stick that could boil my water while it's inside of there. So I set it on there, and I usually pump a little slow because I want to get the water into all the coffee without much channeling, but I don't want to have too much coffee coming out. So I want to get a good pre-infusion. And in this case, I had to pump a little bit more than usual because the coffee is newer, so there's more carbon dioxide, and it's a little bit harder to get the water all the way through. And usually with a bottomless portafilter, I can see what's going on. One of the things I didn't like about this is it's not bottomless. You can only see one hole, so usually I look for the first couple drops. However, it's works really well, so it's hard to complain about not being able to see it when it works well, because the main aim for seeing it is to be able to debug it. So I'm just letting it sit, moving some stuff around, trying to get a better view of it, because you don't need to see the top. What you really want to see is the bottom. So a couple of grams came out during pre-infusion, and then I started to do a slow infusion. I know it's gauged to go up to 9 bars. Most research shows that more than 6 bars is unnecessary and can actually have issues with extraction. Depending on the coffee, I found that a much lower bar will still get a good extraction yield and a good taste. You may not have crema though. So in my case, I think I tried a little bit harder to increase the pressure more than I normally do, but there's still not that much crema. And part of this is because the coffee I used, I humidified it afterwards to degas it faster. And so it just doesn't have as much carbon dioxide in it to cause crema production as normal. So, and that's fine with me. I don't care about crema. My primary concern is taste and extraction yield, which are, they have a correlation. It's not as strong as one would hope, because it'd be nice to have a metric that has a very strong correlation to taste. But it is a good metric to understand what's going on and understand strength from TDS, as well as extraction yield from, like, did I get everything out of this bean that I thought I could? So in this case, I ended up with 18% extraction yield and a delicious shot. So, I mean, the taste of this shot is really because the coffee is very forgiving, given that half of it is a geisha bean. So 11.66 TDS, which is typical, or maybe even on the lower side for me. But I need a little bit hotter water to crank that up. So if you get a CoffeeJack and the stand and the tamper, I hope you enjoy it.